So first question, how did you get into volleyball?
My parents wanted me to be athletic, wanted me to stay in good shape. They decided that, hey, maybe we'll try volleyball. I tried out for my middle school volleyball team in 7th grade. The coach at the time was really the person who got me into volleyball. He is who I credit with first giving me the love for the game. From there, I tried out, I made the team in 7th grade. That spring, I got into a club team. So from that point in my life, volleyball was 12 months all year round. Played all the way throughout high school, had an opportunity to play in college, and I took it.
And then how did you become a setter? Because I see a lot of hitting videos as well, and obviously you're left-handed, 6'3".
I credit that, again, with my middle school coach. He knew I was a lefty, and I wasn't particularly super tall amongst my peers at the time. His whole thing was like, if you're a left-handed volleyball player, we're going to get you setting. And so it was me, and then there was like a 6'1" 8th grader who was also being trained to be a setter at that time.
That's awesome. And I also noticed you have Korean tattoos.
Yes.
So I think for a lot of people that don't know what your cultural background is, can you talk a little bit more about that?
My mother was from South Korea originally. She was born there, and then at a very young age, she was adopted into a family from Michigan. When I got the tattoos, they are done in South Korean. This one says Psalms 121:2, and this one says, "My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." So it's the reference and then the verse. I wouldn't say I'm super engaged like with my South Korean heritage, but I love my mother, and she has been there for me every step of the way. So this was more of a way for me to pay homage to her more than it was embracing my inner Korean culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really beautiful. So you talk about your faith. You want to share a little bit about that? So those are inspired by your faith?
My dad, he was a pastor. So I grew up in the church. That was from the very beginning of my life, that was always a part of me, was my faith. Growing up, it was just figuring out what my own identity was in my faith, rather than just taking what was shown to me by my parents. I think part of what my struggle has been is believing in myself. And just, I've had issues with confidence, like on and off the court, just with my life. I came across this verse on my phone one day, and it kind of just hit me in that moment. Like, I don't need to do everything by myself. I don't need to carry myself with that weight, and instead I can look to the person who made the floors that we're walking on and the heavens up above to give me that strength, be more confident in my own ability.
This is probably your first exposure watching international volleyball up close, right?
Yes.
What's your opinion on the international game, and who are some of your favorite players that you like watching?
There are so many countries in the world that are so talented at volleyball. One of the teams that I really want to see play is Japan. I've yet to see them play, but I think I will have an opportunity to. But there's just so many different styles of volleyball and so many ways to be successful in the game, and it's been really cool to see some of those ways be reenacted through how people are playing. But one of my favorite players up until this point has been 17-year-old Simeon Nikolov. I watched him and Bulgaria play against the United States of America, and it just blew my mind away that a 17-year-old was not only playing at that level, but competing. And it kind of just goes to show that with international volleyball, it's just the way their systems are set up to get their players to a pro national level. It's just different in the United States, because you won't see a lot of 17-year-olds on Team USA. Obviously, the game is elevated to a entirely new level, and it's just opened my eyes to see that.
I see a bunch of fans going up to you. Is this your first experience like being really recognized? How has that been for you, managing like a growing stardom and like achieving the celebrity status, and like what challenges have you experienced with that?
That was like a really hard thing for me. If you guys don't actually know, I'm more just naturally introverted, and I don't necessarily feed off the energy of crowds and people. I thought it was really cool that people were coming up to me and recognizing me and wanting to take photos with me. But part of that just made me just a little uncomfortable, because I didn't necessarily want that attention. I've grown in a way where I get to look at it and appreciate it for what it is. Some of these fans who come up and take photos with me, it's like in one way or another, I've been able to create a positive influence for people to look up to and just associate with the game of volleyball. And I think that's really cool. If you ever see me in public, don't be afraid to come up and ask for a photo. I'd be more than willing to do it, because it's cool, you know?
Yeah, you never know what that one interaction will do for somebody. I'm really grateful for people like Reed Pretty, Matt Anderson, people that I think model that you can be a good person, you could be a champion, and you don't have to be a douchebag to still make a positive influence on the world.